Price is being apparent. Oh, we're live. Oh, what up, people? Sorry, our pre-show over carried into our live show, and that's the way the game works. Well, it's week 16. It's been a long season. It's fantasy football semifinals. Hopefully, some of you are live. Hopefully, if you're watching, you're live, and even if you're not, that's cool too. We got Anthony, we got Nathan here. We've been bringing the heat. How's everyone doing, Anthony? You live?
Yeah, I might be one of the guys that's not alive here. My kid got me sick, but still happy to be here, powering through, trying to help you all and myself move on to your fantasy football finals.
Nathan, what's going on?
Yeah, another week back at it. Grateful to have another week of playoff action, semifinals on deck. One more week till the final dance. Let's get into it.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we just had our. Do you guys like this new crazy schedule, right? With the 2 Saturday games, and then we got 2 Wednesday games.
So I wish football was on every day. So yeah, I like it. I think Wednesday this year is probably only because it's Christmas and the NFL wanted to get in on that action, but still, I'm a fan of it.
Yeah, but they go Black Friday. You can make there's a fake holiday every day, right? So you can do whatever you want. But let's talk about yesterday's games. Nathan, anything jump out at you? Right, we had both favorites covered. All the QBs played well. Derrick Henry went crazy.
Yeah. Derrick Henry still got it. It's winter. He's no matter the matchup, he can run through anybody. He's going to be a cornerstone of championship teams, I feel like, going into next week. Lamar finally threw his first clean pick of the season last week or yesterday. Pretty rough one, but they still pulled it out. Big on the Ravens going forward. I don't think the Steelers are as threatening without Pickens. That offense just can't seem to move the same way.
Okay, Anthony, what about you? We saw Tank Dell kind of had his first big game in a while, and then he went down with this gruesome knee injury. But I mean, if you started him in fantasy, he still got you what you needed.
Yeah, I think he got like 18 or something,
Yeah.
half PPR points. So yeah, I mean, it was certainly a solid day from a fantasy football perspective for Tank Dell. You're happy if you started him. I think you just kind of think, what if he didn't get hurt? He could have been more. But prayers up to Tank Dell. That knee injury looked brutal. Yeah, I think it definitely lowers the Texans' upside as a whole without him. Nico Collins is probably going to get like 15 targets a game at this point.
Hopefully beyond the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, that part. But no, both games were very, very interesting yesterday. I was waiting for a Derrick Henry touchdown in the other game. I just kept waiting for it. I thought it was going to come at the end of the fourth quarter to ice it, and he just never got in. That would have been the icing on the cake, though.
Yeah, he hasn't scored in a couple of weeks. And then we said Hollywood Brown come back, right? Usually guys come back from an injury, they're, do nothing. But, man, they're using him a lot, like kind of motion, the way, drag routes across the middle. What would he be? Well, I guess, Nathan, you're the wide receiver guy, but would you start Hollywood next week?
I don't know the matchup yet, but definitely considering if it's a high point total game, I think the Chiefs do a bunch of quick throws, and he could be a great PPR floor guy for like a wide receiver 3 flex option in that offense.
The Chiefs play Pittsburgh on Netflix in Pittsburgh.
Sure. So not ideal. I mean, it's tough, right? With Mahomes, he's got all those weapons. He can do anything at any moment.
Yeah, and Worthy's kind of breaking out a bit here. He's looking really good with the touches he's getting.
So my favorite thing is like that rookie wide receiver, start slow, finish strong. Who are some other rookies that are just looking to pop right now?
If Keon Coleman could do anything, that would be nice.
Coleman's a nice one.
He came back and led the team in snaps in his first week back out wide. Only had 2 targets last week, but
okay. Brian Thomas Jr., right? He's the one that kind of jumps out. He's just having monsters, even with Mac Jones. We're like next year. Where is he? Is he a 2nd round pick, 3rd round? Like you got Trevor Lawrence back?
I would say on that 2-3 turn.
Yeah, I'd say probably like top 15-ish receivers. Just off the top of my head.
Neighbors or Brian Thomas Jr. next year?
The QB situation in New York
Yeah,
hinges
matters.
a lot on that.
Well,
I
both are
imagine
kind of
they're
bad.
I imagine they're going to take Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders unless they end up with a third overall pick or worse. They might sign a bridge quarterback, maybe like a Kirk Cousins, but I don't know. I would like to lean Neighbors, but the QB situation in New York, like Nathan said, is really going to tell the tale, I think, of who you'd rather have.
Yeah, it's ugly. Watching neighbors just having to like leap and claw and angle just to catch these like little outs is fun, but kind of sad. All right, let's get to this week. We got a lot of good games. Anthony, anything jump out at you?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that jumped out to me, it was in one of the first games I wrote about. I was writing about Matt Stafford. He's kind of been hit or miss a bit. Don't love him, don't hate him, especially going up to New York in the cold. But I realized, and this doesn't really even make sense to me. So the Jets are like a good pass defense. They have, and when you look at their home road splits, they allow less passing yards, all that good stuff, a less completion percentage, less average yards per reception and target and all that good stuff. But they don't have an interception at home this year. And that kind of shocks me. They have, I think, 4 or 5 on the road, none at home. So I think that kind of gives Matt Stafford a bit of a bump. But it's still kind of he's kind of in the Aaron Rodgers range to me, still kind of like a middling QB2. I think I was watching Sports Center, and they said that the real field is going to be like 11 in New York. So like that's always kind of tough for a team that plays in a dome in LA. But
Sure.
that was the biggest thing I think in my mind is that while the Jets defense is good at home, they don't create a lot of turnovers, which was interesting.
I'm in Canada, so I actually have no idea what 11 Fahrenheit means. But yeah, Nathan, that's a good game, right? We got Jets, Rams. If you what wide receiver duo would you rather have right now? Adams and Garrett Wilson or Cup and Puka?
Probably Cup and Puka. Just because I trust Stafford more than Rodgers, I think, and the chemistry that they have already.
Anthony, I'd probably take Devontae and Wilson. I know Wilson's your boy.
Are we talking about which receivers you like better? Sorry, I was looking up.
Yeah.
I was trying to convert the 11 degrees Fahrenheit to Celsius for
Sorry.
you, and it is apparently negative 11 degrees Celsius.
Oh, that's cold.
Okay.
Really cold.
So we can all agree it's cold. Good. Got it. Okay, so I do think I like the weapons for the Jets better. And I think Nathan laid it out pretty well. Just the connection with Adams and Rodgers. Garrett Wilson is just an incredible talent. He's had some pretty big games. So yeah, I lean that side a little bit, but all 4 of them are really great receivers.
But if you had 3 wide receiver spots in all 4, you're benching Cup?
Probably, just because it's tough to play somebody off of a goose. It would either probably be him or maybe Garrett Wilson are probably the 2 I'm thinking of. But I guess if I like Rodgers a bit better today, then that kind of leads me to believe that Wilson would be the 3rd man in there.
Yeah, it's tough. I read something too where the Rams are really bad at wide receivers, like on the sidelines, but they're good in the slot, and they like to play more Devontae slot. But when I watch the Jets, they move everyone around. For me, that wasn't really, that didn't sell me. Who's the top 5 wide receivers this week, Nathan?
Up top, we got number 1 is Jamar, 2 is Puka, 3 is Amon-Ra, 4 is Jefferson, 5 is CD.
So the usual boys. Okay. Who anyone sneaky like that was in your top 30 or something that you didn't think would be, or somebody that was in around the top 30 that you thought would be higher?
If I may speak for the upside case on Cooper Kupp this week.
Okay.
The Jets are down there starting linebacker, slot corner, and safety, and they allow the most fantasy points to slot wide receivers this season. And Kupp lines up in the slot. He's had like 157 routes in the slot to Puka's, I want to say 50-ish this season.
Okay. But the Jets play more man though, right? And Puka's like the man destroyer.
Yeah, take your pick. I think that Puka will draw more of the Sauce Gardner matchup, and I think Cup will just have free reign to do everything he wants over the middle.
Okay, so would you put Cup in that top three with those top four?
Um, not that high, but definitely like much higher than you would think off of a goose egg last week.
Okay, cool. Okay, well, we're gonna let our questions build up for a bit here while everyone jumps in. So, but everyone, we just created the new SportsEthos app, so definitely download that. It's free. You'll get the news feed right to your phone instead of having to go on a browser, which is always annoying. Right? Always hit us up on Discord because I'm always answering questions. You can comment on Twitter, which people start doing, and then if you're on Twitter, come over to YouTube, drop a question. All right, Anthony. I get this question every week. What's your get everyone in game?
Oh, this is the one that I didn't quite prepare for like I did the other every week question. Like you asked me every week, you think that I would have some, and I did the preview, like you think I'd have some semblance
I
of
kind
what
of
was
like
going
this.
on. But it's probably the Eagles and the Commanders.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I really like that game. I mean, the Eagles' big four are all essentially must starts: Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Saquon Barkley, and to a lesser extent, Devonta Smith. I think is a guy that you have a hard time sitting. It's certainly possible, but he's a guy you're generally starting. And then on the other side, Jaden Daniels, he did struggle a bit against Philly a few weeks ago when they played. But I believe this game is in Washington.
Yep.
It is. So that usually just kind of lends better to quarterback play, or really just team play in general, the home field advantage. Love Terry McLaurin this
Really?
week.
Because he had the goose egg, I think. I think he goose egged the first matchup.
That's all right. He's got 3 of the past 4 weeks. Let me scroll back. I don't want to get it wrong. But he's been really good 3 of the past 4 weeks. I think I tried to focus a little bit more.
Which is the 1 week though, right? It was against the Eagles, right? So
yeah, no, that's all right. He's got at least 73 yards in 3 straight weeks, scoring 5 total touchdowns. I think you kind of just stay in the
pretty
flames.
good.
I try to focus, like once we get to the playoffs, I try to focus a bit more on the game than the name. Like you got to figure out who's going to play better today, right? Like it's not like you need to worry about, oh, I want this guy because he's going to be better over the course of the next 5 weeks, right? Like no, like you got to figure out who's going to play better today, or your season's over.
I love that. Okay, so what's a big one when you're doing the preview where you start like, name the names up here, but the guy's here, but the matchup makes it kind of flip?
Probably. Let me take a peek at that. Marvin Harrison's always kind of tough to play, even though they play the Panthers, which is kind of interesting.
That's true.
Let me see here. Let me just scrolling through. Anybody in the Titans Colts game is pretty hard to play, I think, which means Anthony Richardson. Jerry Jeudy died when Dorian Thomas-Robinson became the starter, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, and they said Jameis isn't even going to be the emergency QB or something. So, maybe Robinson could get hurt running, and then Jameis comes in, saves Judy again. But that doesn't sound like it's going to happen.
Yeah. I think Tyrone Tracy is kind of a guy that I'm a little bit more hesitant on.
I like that.
He's been really good this season as a starter, but the Giants are just in a free fall. He's kind of been getting a little bit of less work after that big fumble. I think it was on Thanksgiving.
Which one?
You said which one? Yes, but I mean they've kind of been getting some other guys involved a bit more. So Tyrone Tracy's the kind of the big name, if you will, that you might be really kind of questioning this week.
Yeah. So the big one on Thursday pod, everyone was like Kendry Miller. Brian was like, who else is on New Orleans? But I don't really love that. Nathan, do you? Right? You got the Saints. They got nobody. They got no Kamara, no Olave, no Derek Carr, no everybody. But the Packers are a really good D. Do you like a guy whose volume's going to be great, even though the quality might not be?
It's really tough to trust that, especially in a weather-impacted game with Spencer Rattler at QB.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, just it's hard to trust like offensive output as a whole from an offense under those circumstances. And the Packers are a decent defense too, so
Yeah.
I expect them to to hit those pressure points against a patched up Saints team.
Yeah, right. I think they're gonna be down early. Like Anthony, if you had Kendry Miller or Tyrone Tracy, who are you starting?
I mean, Kendra Miller should be alone in that backfield, essentially, right?
Yeah, Jamal Williams. But
That's close. I'd probably still lean Tyrone Tracy because I've seen him be successful. I don't know that I want the Kendra Miller mystery box in the semifinals.
right? That's
Tough
what I
place
can
to
tell
open it.
people.
Tough place to open it.
Right? He's got a tough place to open. I love that. Yeah, he's got a high upside because he might, maybe he gets 10 targets, 6 catches, 15 yards. Maybe he falls into the end zone, right? Maybe they run him 15 times for 50 yards and he just amasses all these little points. But
and his coach does like him now.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Packers defense is also pretty tough. They're going to be starting, I think, Spencer Rattler. So it's just hard to get excited about anybody on the Saints offense this week.
Yeah. Okay. Let's hit a couple questions here while we'll get back to some preview. All right, Dylan Fink, always here, always popping questions. We love that, and you always give us all the info. Playoffs, baby, right? Full PPR. All right, different leagues, 3 separate questions. Anthony, we'll start with you. Let's try and figure this out. Start 1 running back, 1 flex. Amir Abdullah, Alexander Madison, Tyjae Spears, Rome Odunze, Brenton Strange. I mean, are we just Raiders? Nathan, sorry, are we just Raiders backfield? Like they're out?
No, actually, hold on. You asking Nathan? I thought you were talking.
Well, then I realized it was Raiders. But Anthony, go.
No, sorry. I was just gonna say I low-key actually kind of like Brenton Strange this week. He performs really well when Evan Engram is out. The Raiders, sorry Nathan, just can't stop anybody really like in any phase of the defense. I'm trying to find my Brenton Strange stats here, and here it is. In the 5 games he's played, at least 68% of the snaps. He's finished in the top 10 in 4 of them. So I like him this week. I'd probably throw him in as my flex. I think he might low-key be the safest play.
Okay.
And then I'm probably between Madison and Spears.
I like Spears a lot. Pollard's a little banged up. They're kind of working Spears in. He had like 80 receiving yards the other week. Nathan, what are you doing here? I mean, Raiders backfield is just a wash without Sincere, right? Like get him out.
It's just too many gears turning to trust them right now. It's a great matchup against Jacksonville. If you wanted to take somebody, I would pick Madison of the 2, but I think I'd like Spears in a pass catching role in a full PPR league here.
So my get everyone in game is that Chicago-Detroit game, right? Because Detroit run defense, they got no secondary, they're banged up. You got Caleb at home. So is Odunze, even though he's like the wide receiver 3, like he's probably, might have the least guaranteed volume, but he's probably got the most upside here. Like, so with Nathan, would you sneak him in there? Would you do Spears or Odunze upside play?
We saw Spears get home with 27 points last week in full PPR. So I think his upside case was already presented last week. And I would take that to go with Strange as another PPR floor guy versus Odunze's kind of unguaranteed role.
Yeah, okay. So Spears or Odunze. Okay, all right, and stick with you, tight end. So we got Hunter Henry and Strange. So if we're flexing Strange, we're just going to play Henry?
Well, it's a different league. They're 3 different leagues.
3 separate questions, different leagues. Oh, right. That makes sense. Yeah. Thank you.
No worries.
Yeah, okay. I think I like Strange here. Yeah, it's just such a there's just nobody there in Jacksonville, right? Just Brian Thomas Jr. and Brenton Strange. They both had double-digit targets last week. They could just be the same exact thing this week against the Raiders. And then New England, I'm not sure. Buffalo's defense has been playing decent, and
not really. They could have 40 points like back-to-back weeks.
Very true. Two high octane offenses, though. I think New England is a lot different story than Detroit and Los Angeles. But both tough situations are kind of a coin flip here. But I go Strange still.
Strange, Anthony, Strange or Henry?
I think
a lot of Strange.
I think this is kind of a coin flip. I would go. I don't know, because Hunter Henry's below-key been pretty reliable.
Yeah, and if you're starting Strange in the 1 league, do you want to double up? Because it's a lot for a guy nobody really knows much about, or go Strange Henry and kind of mitigate yourself.
Yeah, I'll make the argument for Hunter Henry here just to diversify a bit, give you some information, to hopefully make the best decision. Hunter Henry has seen 6 targets in 6 of 8 games. That's all you can ask for from a tight end, right? He's reliable. He's got a good role. So again, I think this is kind of like these guys are probably pretty close to back to back. I lean Strange because I just think he's gonna have a better week. Probably just a gut feeling, but I think Henry's also a pretty fine choice.
Yeah, I'd probably go Strange and then Henry. It's a lot of Strange. You could get hurt. Henry, you got negative pass script. They're going to be throwing. Drake May, is decent. That Bills aren't getting up for this game. Their defense kind of sucks. All right, next one, Anthony, stick with you. So K9. So Kenneth Walker's back.
Mhm.
Yes, he's
So we
back
got that
on
bike.
roll.
So coming back hurt against the Vikings D, I think in the rain. That's not great. So I think Jerome Ford all day, right? Playing the Bengals, they can't stop anybody. This is easy, isn't it?
I don't think it's easy. No, because K9's been pretty good. Yeah, this might be one of those game over name situations. I mean, Ford's
Game
in a
over
great
name.
spot.
I like that.
Ford's in a great spot. Is Deontay Foreman getting any work behind him? Do we know? I know Chubb only got hurt last week.
Okay, a little. I like Foreman. Okay, but for Nathan, K9 or Ford?
Yeah, this is tough, but I think I would go with Ford just because it's fresh legs against a bad defense. Kenneth Walker missed last week.
Last two.
Last two, and Charbonnet's been playing better. So there's no guarantee that he just walks right back into a full workload either.
Good point. Good point. So and then Ertz Chig. I'm seeing a lot of Chig love. Does Mason Rudolph love him, or I guess it's the Jags are terrible. Wait, it's Tennessee. Who's Tennessee playing? Sorry,
Tennessee is playing the Colts.
Indy. Okay, yeah, they're bad for tight end. So a lot of Chig love. Ertz, I think, got concussed, but he's clear. That's scary. He's old. Philly's elite. I mean, is anyone going to go Ertz here?
I know that the matchup is good for tight ends against Indy, but it is hard to trust the Titans offense when comparing it to Washington. And Ertz is the second option in that offense with Noah Brown out.
Good point.
It's just a concussion, so he should still be running as well as a 36-year-old Zach Ertz would be. But I like the PPR floor for Ertz.
Do we know that Ertz is going to play for sure?
Yes, I just saw it. Will play week 16.
Oh, okay. Last I saw is he wasn't. I know he logged a couple limited snaps, but I didn't think he passed protocol yet. Okay. Well, I'd probably lean Ertz then. He's just been more reliable. I actually put up 15 points against the Eagles. Scored I think it was a late touchdown.
Yeah,
against them in the first time they played. Though I actually do like Chig this week. He saw 7 targets. He saw his best game of the season last week, and like we said, the matchup is awesome. So I don't hate it. I think he's definitely a streaming option, but I would go with Ertz if you're projected to win and just need to guarantee yourself like 5, 7, 10 points. But if you need a big week, I think Chig could be in for it.
Okay, cool. All right, moving on. Furious, just say hi. What up, Furious? Always a pleasure. Brian, help me beat Sandy. All right, Brian. Okay, so we got Craig Reynolds in for Monty. The Bears are terrible running the ball. We know Lions like to go kind of dual threat. Obviously, Gibbs is going to get most of the work, but and then Ty Johnson just led the team in receiving yards last week, something crazy. What are we doing here? We got what just happened versus potential upside, new role. Nathan, this is tough.
Yeah, this is real tough. I would probably go Ty Johnson just because we've seen a few weeks of that consistent pass catching role, and it's kind of a mystery box upside for Craig Reynolds. And I could see the team just being willing to let Jahmyr Gibbs handle closer to a full tilt versus splitting that 50% up with Craig Reynolds and Sione Baki.
Okay. Is anyone's audio getting feedback, or is it just mine?
I'm hearing it a little bit.
Okay.
I don't hear anything. Maybe it's mine then. I don't know.
All right. So, Anthony, the argument for Reynolds, right? They're going to want to run the ball, Goff on the road. They're probably not going to be throwing 50 times. But also Ty Johnson, if the Bills go up, right? Maybe they, go away from Cook, Ray Davis, Ty Johnson. This is tough. I don't know. I don't even know what I'd do.
I would go Ty Johnson. I think pretty clearly he's the third down back. He gets the 2-minute role. I'm a James Cook manager in a couple leagues. And it's frustrating. James Cook can catch the ball. He's a pretty good receiver. He's good in space, but for some reason, it's probably to keep him fresh. It's probably good overall for him. But as of late, that pass catching role in the Bills' backfield has been pretty good. So I'd go Ty Johnson here, and I really wouldn't think much about it.
Okay, Ty Johnson, easy. Okay, Brian. Help me win money. Pick one. Kendry Miller. Kendry Miller, this is good. I like this. So this is kind of, game. This is a triple game versus name, right? I think Coleman might have the most Marvin Harrison versus Carolina, right? This is tough. Nathan, anything jump out at you here? I take Kendry Miller.
Yeah, I would probably go Marvin Harrison here just because he's that offense. Even though Trey McBride's been the number one, Marvin Harrison's still the clear number two in that offense at least.
Michael Wilson's been coming on.
Yeah, I think it's just too congested in Buffalo in comparison to bank on. And we already talked about Kendry a bit, but guaranteed touches, just bad environment for the offense.
Okay, Marvin Harrison. Anthony, you agree? Audio's better now.
Yeah, I'm going Marvin Harrison. While in past 3 weeks or 3 of the past 4, he's finished as wide receiver 51, 42, and 65. Kind of lends to the game's not good. Name is good. Game's not good. But I love the matchup. The Panthers have given up the most passing touchdowns in the league, which is 27. It's a 4-way tie, but it's still the most.
4-way tie with who? Who else is there?
No, I'd have to look that up.
Okay, don't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry.
But I mean, my quick pick for this game is a Marvin Harrison touchdown at plus 130. I just feel like he's due. He's due for a big game. The Panthers can allow it. And again, as long as he scores a touchdown, he's good. That's the key there for him. So I like him over Miller and Coleman.
Okay, yeah, we fixed that audio echo. That was driving me crazy. Probably should have got to it earlier. Anyway, sorry. Kyle Siebert audio. My opponent has Packers D. That's terrifying. Packers kicker, terrifying. And Kendry Miller. Should I start Christian Watson in the Monday Nighter or Tony Pollard today? So what are we thinking? Christian Watson is kind of a hedge. I mean, Jesus, that could be 30 points with just the D and the kicker. Nathan, where do you got Christian Watson this week? Because he's been pretty great.
Yeah, I think I have him somewhere around the high wide receiver 4, just because it's a congested wide receiver room again, and I think Romeo Doubs is the preferred option out wide in the offense. Ever since he threw his pal and got suspension or the 1-game suspension, he came back and he's kind of just been the preferred downfield guy. When he's there, he was just hurt a few weeks. That left the gate open for Watson. I'm not trying to force him into a matchup that could just be done entirely on the ground with the conditions there.
Yeah, I agree. Then the Colts rush D's been really bad. It might have been a little better lately, but overall the season's been terrible. Yeah, you got to go Pollard here and Pollard and pray. Not for Pollard, but that the Colts don't throw like two. Sorry, that the Saints don't throw like 2 pick sixes. Man, that's scary. Anthony, right? We're going Pollard.
Yeah, I agree with Pollard. And to answer your question, I guess after yesterday's game, the Panthers are technically second in pass touchdowns allowed because the Texans now have allowed 28 after yesterday.
Really? I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah. The other 2 teams with 27 outside the Panthers, though, are the Falcons and the Jaguars.
Okay. I know because Falcons, I know they've only given up like 7 rushing touchdowns, so that correlates that it's just passing TDs. Okay. Mr. Magic, always with the yo. Yo, what up? All right, Justin. Okay, Ramondre Patrick Taylor. I've gotten like 25 Patrick Taylor questions this week, and I've said Patrick Taylor every time, which kind of terrifies me. Anthony, is the argument Stevenson? So you got negative game script, but they like Gibson kind of the passing work. Bills can give up the big rushing touchdowns. I don't know. What are we doing here?
I'm going Ramondre. He's got 13 or more carries in 4 of the last 5, 18 plus in 3 of those. It's kind of led you to like a borderline RB2, RB3 flex play. The Bills are bad against the run, though.
But 14 and a half points.
What was that?
The spread's like 14 and a half.
Yeah, I'm not. The reminder Stevenson can catch the ball too, so I'm not too worried about him getting game scripted out. And while the Bills give up the second most fantasy points per game, they're really not like a bad run defense as far as the NFL. Like when you're looking at the NFL stats, they're middle of the pack, really, in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns allowed. So that's kind of interesting, but it kind of challenges Patrick Taylor's really going to challenge the narrative that any running back in San Francisco is awesome, right? Obviously, Christian McCaffrey was great. Jordan Madison was great. Elijah Mitchell has been great. When obviously he's been out this whole year, but like last year, like he's been fine. Isaac Guerrero put up a couple good games, and now we're on to Patrick Taylor and Israel Abanikanda. I know the questions about Patrick Taylor specifically, but this is really, really going to test your faith in that. And again, I just think in the semifinals in such an important spot, I don't want a mystery box of a guy that I haven't heard of who, although a small sample size, he's had 14 carries this season. It's only averaging 3.5 yards per tote. Again, I know it's a small sample size, but like,
Still, so what we got?
Yeah, exactly. So give me long-winded version of saying give me Stevenson relatively easily here, and I'm just willing to be wrong on Patrick Taylor.
Okay. That's about as good as answer you can get. Nathan, I'm not even going to ask you because that was great. But the only thing that's scary, cold weather, Buffalo is nice, right? But I feel like
New England plays in the cold though too. New England's up there in Boston or Foxborough, so it's cold there too.
Yeah. No, that's good for the running game, I think. But
yeah, that's what you meant. Okay.
Yeah. But Allen, I feel like he just kills New England. I just got flashbacks from the playoff game when they're up like 40-0. But all right, Mr. Magic, I'm scared of playing Darnold and JSN because of weather. My other options are Stafford, Purdy, Jacoby Myers. Okay. Nathan, what are we doing? I mean, you got to play JSN. He's just a super stud. But let me pull up. Answer this question for me while I pull up the weather.
Yeah, JSN over Jacoby feels pretty locked in, regardless of the weather concerns there. As for the quarterback,
oh, sorry, Anthony, we got the echo again. Can you check and make sure it's not you?
As for the quarterback, this is a bit tougher. I would probably. This is close.
If I could jump in, I'm gonna go Darnold. I wrote a bit about Purdy. He's been outside of the top 32 in the last 3 weeks, and Miami is a really tough matchup.
Mm-hmm.
I would look elsewhere if possible, and I think Darnold is good enough, even in the weather. I think I'd go Darnold.
Really? Okay, but Seattle D's been great too. What about Stafford though? I mean, you were talking about the Jets. Jets D's not that great.
Yes. Oh.
They just haven't got a lot of interceptions and forced a lot of turnovers at home. They've limited quarterbacks and passing attacks as far as yardage goes, though. So yeah, it's Darnold for me, and then I'm going to go with Jason over Jacoby. Though I do like Jacoby as a top 30 play this week in a soft matchup with Aiden O'Connell back.
Yeah. Aiden O'Connell feeds them. Nathan, where you got JSN and Jacoby? Because they've been studying.
Yeah, JSN's my wide receiver 17, and nice. Jacoby took a bit of a knock down to just outside wide receiver 2.
So what? So wide receiver
28.
28. Okay. So okay, that's tough. But Larry Venozzi just dropped the weather earlier today. He said it's going to be barely any wind, cloudy and rainy, low to moderate impact. So little rain, but we saw how little rain affected that Niners game, that Niners Rams Thursday night. So it is smart to be worried about it, but it's because it's the semifinals and every point matters, right? So, man, I'd say maybe you don't want to start both, so maybe pick one. But you're oh man, Darnold and Jacoby, but benching JSN just sounds criminal. That's tough. That's tough. Maybe we'll try and come back to this. Oh, he's also got Kyler or Jaden. Kyler? Anyone want to play Kyler? I mean, Jaden against
Yeah.
Philly, I'm not doing. Kyler, Carolina?
Yeah, I'd play Kyler. Again, the
man.
Panthers have given up the most passing touchdowns. They just get gassed on the ground too, and Kyler Murray could obviously run the ball. I like Jane Daniels a lot. He's been a stud this year. Has struggled against some of the better defenses he's faced, including Philly. While I still like him, this is a situation where I'd go Kyler.
Kyler, okay. I hate Kyler, man. He's the worst. And then he's also got Dula Spears, but I don't think they crack it, although we do like Ty J. All right. And then anyone watching, if you're on Twitter, jump over to YouTube, drop us a question. Also drop us a like. Likes are big. We have Discord. I'll be answering questions. Drop a comment on Twitter. And also we just dropped our app, the SportsEthos app. You can find it in the App Store. It's free. Check it out. Get the live feed straight to your phone. Can't beat that. All right. Fudd Gums Lover. Something like that. Tough one. ATN, Ford, or Bigsby half PPR. I mean, ATN's the biggest bust of the season, right? Bigsby's splitting carries, so I think this is just Jerome Ford. Easy money, right?
Yep.
If you had to go ATN or Bigsby, Anthony, what are you doing?
I lean ETN, I think. But like I'm really not trying to start either. They're both like middling RB3s. But they do have some upside because they play the Raiders. But I lean ETN because I think he's still technically the starter, but it's really a coin flip between those two.
Okay, cool. Okay, all right, here we go. Our motto is a Peter Jr. Nathan, this is all you. Start one running back. We got Tony Pollard, Pat Seats, all Patrick Taylor. ATN or Kendrick, a lot of Patrick Taylor, Kendrick Miller, and sit one. Okay, so start one. Which running back? I think Pollard or Taylor is probably the heads up, right?
Yeah, I think it's Pollard or Taylor there for sure. Probably would go Taylor. I think I like the scoring upside in the Niners Dolphins game. And the odds of Taylor just getting a goal line carry, I think, is pretty high in that one for a touchdown. But you can't go wrong with Pollard either if you don't want to trust the guy in his first start of the season or of his career, maybe. But it's a great situation to be in.
Anthony, we know you're Pollard, right?
Yeah, I am.
Right.
The last time Tony Pollard, I think there's a tier break for sure with Pollard, and then the rest of them are definitely below him. The last time Tony Pollard didn't practice all week, which he didn't practice at all this week, he ended up with 28 touches and 128 yards. Then again, Tajay Spears wasn't available that week. The backup was Joey Chestnut, and we just saw what Tajay Spears, is capable of doing as he put up 24 points last week, I think, for fantasy purposes. But again, just because Pollard didn't practice all week doesn't mean that he's not good enough to get the majority of the touches. So I'd go with him in this situation.
Okay, so what's the Patrick Taylor tier for you? What's like Kenneth Walker you're doing over Taylor? You said Ramondre over Taylor. Let's do Chuba Hubbard.
Chuba Hubbard's like a top 10 play.
Okay. Okay. Rico Dowdle.
I like
Brian
Rico Dowdle better. That's close. Man, Brian Robinson, he's been like consistent, but not anything that you'd be like super excited about. If you're actually, this is kind of probably the line for me. I wrote about Brian Robinson Jr. He's better suited if you are projected to win by a decent amount than if you're projected to lose by a decent amount. So this is the point where like if you need an upshot play because you're projected to lose by like 15, I'd go Patrick Taylor.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'd go with the safety of Brian Robinson. Like if you're on the other end of the spectrum and say you had a couple guys on the Thursday and Saturday games put up big weeks for you, and you just need a stable floor, Robinson's my answer.
Okay, and then Nathan, so sit one. Terry McLaurin, Jordan Addison, Devontae Smith. This is tough. Very tough.
It is tough. Very tough. I think I'm starting McLaurin for sure. I think the rankings would give me a slight lean towards Devontae Smith in this one. And then there is weather concern for Addison in in Seattle this week on the road. So that's kind of like the biggest floor case you can make for one of these guys. I think McLaurin is, even though he had that bad game against Philly, they started moving him around the field a bit more last week after. With Noah Brown out, it seems like they just want to get him in the spot where the first read is going to be at for the offense. Um, he's like a top 10 play for me this week. And then if you want correlation, Devontae Smith's on the other side. If that game goes nuts, then you have two receivers locked in to go to the moon.
Okay, so you like that kind of doing the double stack, I guess, McLaurin Devontae.
Yeah.
All right, I like that. Yeah, bench Addison. Don't worry about the take the rain out of it. Hope for a bit of a shootout. I could see that. Philly. Who did Philly play last week?
Pittsburgh.
Oh, Pittsburgh, right? I remember. Yeah, they got the ball. Philly had the ball with like 13 minutes left in the fourth, and Pittsburgh didn't touch it again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's so terrifying. Brian said there was an echo. Well, thank you, Brian. Stanley Krupinski. Okay. Alexander Madison, Kendry Miller, PPR championship. Jesus, this sucks. Anthony.
How did you make it to the championship? And these are your options. This must be a deep league, or like everybody on your team got hurt last week.
I like that.
What happened? What happened, Stanley?
I mean, I'll never back Alexander Madison. So for me, it's Kendry Miller by default. You?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the mystery. No, oh God. I'd probably go Madison. I could see the Saints, just the entire offense on the Saints being completely shut down.
Like 80,
they don't have
yards.
they don't have their top receiver. They don't have their top quarterback, who is not very good anyway. They don't have their top running back. They don't have a top tight end on the roster. Madison has at least kind of been a low end RB2, RB3 play all season. And I just really, really, really am worried about getting completely just not like 120 total like offensive yards, like bad.
Yeah, no, exactly. So let's say who are some fringe wide receivers, like maybe, or running backs, just like if Ray Davis was out there, Tyler Johnson, some random ones that maybe you just start. Devin Singletary.
I'd probably still go with Madison over Singletary.
All right, Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, I'm not worried. I'm not playing Antonio Gibson.
Okay, Tank Bigsby.
Ooh, on the other side of the matchup, at least as far as Alexander Madison goes.
Maybe this is a deep league and none of these guys are available, and that's why these are his options.
Yeah, that one's tough. That's probably pretty close. I'd probably lean Bigsby because the offense is a little bit better, but like it's a tough choice.
Okay. So Brian, man, just jump on the pod if you're gonna drop all these questions. Does Trey McBride touchdown talk scare you from Harrison? Definitely. I mean, McBride hasn't scored a touchdown all season, so who's talking about it?
He's probably due. Maybe one of those weeks where he gets like 3 and kind of catches up again against the defense that has given up the most passing touchdowns in the league. Second now, but
okay. I mean, McBride's been great. Yeah, I've been betting him last couple of weeks. He's kind of been quiet first half, and then second half he just takes off in the fourth quarter. So,
it doesn't really scare me. Again, the Panthers give up a ton of touchdowns. Like they could both get 2, and I wouldn't be like terribly surprised, right?
Then you should start Kyler.
Yeah, well, hey, I picked Kyler over Jason.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, no, for sure.
For Mr. Magic there. But no, I'm not too nervous about any potential Trey McBride touchdown talk that's probably been going on for weeks. Having any effect on Marvin Harrison this week.
Okay. All right, Nathan, how do we think Jacoby Myers will be? The wide receiver guy and the Raider guy.
Yeah, I think it's a definitely a bounce back spot. He was almost on his way to a disaster game before catching a bunch of passes late against Atlanta. And we get Aiden O'Connell back this week, which is definitely a plus after the quarterbacking. It's not a huge plus, but it's better than what we saw from Desmond Ridder.
It's a good plus.
Yeah,
and
imagine Aiden O'Connell being a plus. I'm a Giants fan. Drew Lock is kind of a plus, so it's not. I'm with you.
Yeah, it's tough. The Raiders are somehow favored in this game. They have an implied team total of 21. if they score in this game, there's Jacoby's at least their second best playmaker on the team behind Brock Bowers right now, if not the best. Jaguars allow the fourth most wide receiver fantasy points this season. I think he's a decent PPR like wide receiver too. I think.
Yeah, I love him. I love him in the spot. Like, would you play Jacoby or Khalil Shakir this week?
I'd take Shakir.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think he's the one constant in the Bills' offense, and Josh Allen's kind of playing out of his mind right now. I'd take
That's
the
true.
QB play.
That's true. What about so let's say if he was on the Bears, would you have Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Jacoby Myers, Rome Odunze, or would you put Jacoby at maybe at the top?
I think you had it right the first time. At least for like fantasy wide receivers this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go in that order.
Okay. So yeah, we like Jacoby. Andy, you like Jacoby this week?
I think Jacoby's a top 30 play, and I would play Jacoby over Khalil Shakir.
Yeah, I kind of like that too. Yeah, okay. Shakir, especially if he gets to Christian Gonzalez, the shadow. But Josh Allen is crazy. So. But yeah, I think we all like Jacoby. It's just a smash matchup. Aiden O'Connell likes to just hyper target. He doesn't spread it around, right? So it's going to be Brock and Jacoby all day. So big fan. All right, Trey S. Morning, gents. Full PPR. Need 2 flex, 1 wide receiver. Okay, so need 2 flex, 1 wide receiver. Kenneth Walker, Tyrone Tracy, Kendre Miller, Jerry Judy, Keon Coleman, Debo. Oh my God! Thanks and happy holidays, Anthony. What are we doing here? This is a lot of volatile question marks.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the wide receivers first. Like, let's just get that out of the way. Pick the wide receiver, and then we'll work on the flex piece.
Mark.
And I don't like any of them. Jerry Judy with Dorian Thompson Robinson. Excuse me. Probably not going to be very good. Keon Coleman has that ceiling. He's had a couple big games, long touchdowns, blah, blah, blah. He's also put up a goose egg a couple times. Then you have Debo Samuel, who has finished outside of like the top 40 or 50 in like 4 or 5 straight weeks. Like, it's been a total disaster. And that is a big name over game. Like, you can't play Debo as much as you want to. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, we can talk a little more later. Juwan Jennings is the guy you want there. But so I'm ruling out Debo, I think. Oh my God.
I think you have to go Judy, right? You got to hope.
I think you do, especially because I don't think David Njoku's going to play. If somebody wants to check that and vet me, but when I was writing the preview, when I was writing about that, I didn't think it was going to be like tough sledding for him to maybe play this week. So if he's out, I definitely go Jerry Judy because he'd probably be hyper targeted. It's not going to be great, but none of these guys are great, and I just think he maybe has the most upside.
Okay, so Judy, and then we're not even going to flex Coleman Debo. So what two running backs are we doing? Walker terrifies me.
I would go Walker Tracy. I think that part of it's pretty simple.
Okay.
You go Walker and Tracy as your 2 flexes. Again, I'm trying not to touch Kendre Miller because of my concerns that offense literally does nothing.
What would you feel like if you were down 10 points and all you had Kendre Miller left? Would you be comfortable?
10 points and Kendre Miller, no.
Okay, cool.
No, I don't think I would.
So the Walker thing, does the rain give it a nice bump? Because I think they're at home, but the Minnesota rush D is good, although they've been getting a little banged up lately. But he's come back from injury. Charbonnet's been great. Is the rain kind of a nice equalizer?
I think it is. I think they run a bit more than they throw. I don't think Charbonnet. Well, I said this last time that Charbonnet balled out when Ken Walker was out earlier in the season, and I think he'd be completely faded out. And then I think he was kind of completely faded out once Walker came back. So, yeah, I still like Ken Walker, and I think that the rain is just a little bit more of a plus.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so should we pick up Jake Moody with the rain concerns for Rayshard? Is that the case? Is that the Seattle kicker?
Vikings kicker.
Vikings.
I don't know. Jake Moody has been kind of hit or miss, I think, as far as like kickers go this year. Larry didn't have too much concerns about the weather in this game. I think he said some light rain and some light wind. I think you mentioned earlier, John.
Light moderate rain.
I'd probably just stick with Reichard, I guess.
Okay. All right, Nathan. Robert Brown says Bucky Irving or Aaron Jones. Let's start that first. I mean, we're Bucky all day.
I think I'm Bucky all day, especially after researching for a Sunday night game. Um, the Buccaneers are second in the NFL in expected fantasy points to the running back position based on usage
Who's won?
over the last month of the season, and it's Detroit at one.
Obviously.
Yeah, they're the engines of the offense right now. If they're healthy, if both are healthy, I think Irving is a top 10 upside guy, and Rashad White still has RB2 upside based on that stuff. Irving's just been money, and the Cowboys are a cake matchup for them. 4-point favorites. Dallas is terrible at home this year.
Yeah.
I like Bucky over Aaron Jones, without getting into Aaron Jones too much. But there's the rain game there to bank on the ground.
Yeah, Jones has been better too. He got out of a little midseason swoon, but he's looked better. Okay, stick with you here. We got T. Higgins and Brian Thomas. This is tough because they're studs. But I mean, I think I saw something where the Higgins is great versus man. Cleveland plays a lot of man, but Brian Thomas Jr. is, what Raiders are screwed, right?
Yeah, I like. This is tough. I have T. Higgins 2 spots higher than Brian Thomas in my rankings, but
Okay.
if you want pure upside, it's got to be Brian Thomas Jr. with the amount of volume he's seeing the last few weeks. There's just I think he had 5 targets on screen passes last week.
Really?
They're just doing everything to get him the ball right now.
I like that.
And he's just doing work with it after the catch and down the field.
Okay.
Just a crazy role and exactly what you want this time of year. So I would go Brian Thomas Jr.
Okay, Anthony, what about you? We got the Joe Burrow, which is just safe, right? We know Higgins is going to get 570 unless Chase goes for like 250. What do you do? Oh, you're out. You're muted.
I think I lean Brian Thomas Jr. for a lot of the reasons that Nathan said, but it's so hard to count on Mac Jones and not Joe Burrow. But I mean, he's the only guy there to throw the ball to outside of the Bretton Strange, who we like. They're close, but yeah, I'd probably go Brian Thomas Jr.
It's tough though, right? I mean,
yeah, the standard league makes it really interesting because it's not like Brian Thomas is, say, 10 catches to Higgins 4 is really going to make a difference. Like as long as they both put up 100 yards and a touchdown, like they're both the same guy. But I'd lean Brian Thomas Jr. because his role should be a bit bigger.
Okay. I love just these kind of open-ended questions. Kyle Siebert audio. These are great. How do you think the Bills-Patriots game will play out? Well, Bills' offense is unstoppable right now. Pat's defense is terrible. They're bad versus the run. They're bad versus the pass. I guess maybe they're good if you got one wide receiver and Christian Gonzalez can shadow, but Bills got 100 guys, 14.5-point spread. But I feel like the whole world's teasing the Bills, so maybe that helps the Patriots. It's going to be cold. I mean, Anthony, would you, if you gun to your head, would you take 14.5 points for the Patriots as a dog?
Yeah, I think there's a chance they could backdoor it. Like the Bills go up by the Bills are up like 28 in like the fourth quarter or something. They bench a lot of their starters, play some soft defense. Drake May showed flashes. He's a rookie, so he struggled, but I think Drake May is going to be really good. So it could be a situation where, like I said, Bills are up big in the fourth quarter. Say, maybe like a 35-14 kind of game. They kind of sit down a lot of guys, like I said, play soft. Drake May can certainly move the ball. And they might score a late touchdown or two just to kind of get the little backdoor cover and maybe lose by like 10 instead of 4.
So do we like Drake May in this game then? Right? He could have a bad first half and have 200 yards in the second half.
I don't love Drake May, obviously. Like in my one quarterback leagues, I'm really not. I'm not starting him. I'm not even thinking about it. I don't know that I love him in super flex either, as the Bills are in the bottom quartet of pass or points allowed to quarterbacks, but you get that blowout, and the Bills aren't focused on how many fantasy points they give up if they're going to win the game. Like they could care less. So I like him certainly as an interesting super flex quarterback, maybe 15 to 25ish. kind of depending on how things play out, but certainly not in one quarterback leagues.
Okay. James Cook, though, smash spot. Like, is
Oh,
the
yeah.
worry that they go up and he's only playing 3 quarters and like they're going to, put in Ray Davis, Tyler Johnson here? But
So unless Ray Davis or Tyler Johnson kind of vulture the touchdowns or like a long run or two, just when like on a third down for Ty Johnson or Ray Davis comes in and gives Cook a play or two off. James Cook is like a huge part of that offense, so no worries there. I think if they get up big, I think James Cook is going to have a lot to do with it. Like I said, unless kind of just gets vultured, like he comes out for a play or two, and that's the play that breaks big. Like that could always happen.
Yeah, for sure. And then with pass catchers, Amari Cooper had the goose egg last week. I'm probably not starting him. Dalton Kincaid, Shakir, Keon Coleman. It's like somebody's going to pop, but it's too unpredictable in the semifinals, right?
Yeah, like the crazy part is just for like how good Josh Allen is and like for how good this Bills offense is. Like outside of Josh Allen, James Cook, and for the most part, Khalil Shakir, you don't really feel good about anybody else. And that includes Dalton Kincaid along with the names that you mentioned. So yeah, the fantasy value is really pretty condensed, surprisingly, in the Bills offense for how many like weapons they have. But yeah, ultimately I think the Bills win big, but the Patriots could backdoor recover with some garbage time in the fourth.
It's a crazy game because the Bills, I'd say, like if you had to bet your life if they score over 35, you're saying over, right?
The Bills,
They've scored over 40 back-to-back weeks.
35 is a lot, but like, yeah, I mean, if there's a team that's going to do it, it's going to be the Bills coming off back-to-back 40-point weeks against the Patriots, whose defense isn't all that great. So,
okay, so curious, my guy Nathan. So he says, "Your love towards Myers had me questioning my Daddle start. Do I roll with Daddle or Jacoby full PPR? I mean, Daddle's been crazy lately, so I can't imagine benching him."
Yeah, I think Dowdle is a lot safer here. Leading the league in rushing yards over the last 3 weeks of the season by a wide margin. I think he's like 80 yards up on the next closest guy. Tampa Bay has been better on the ground, but they allow the third most receptions and receiving yards to running backs this season.
So Anthony, your audio I think keeps giving us kickback.
let me mute myself then. Sorry.
With Dowdle, as long as he's getting targets in the passing game, he should have no problem turning in like a high-end RB2 finish here against Tampa, they're banged up in the secondary, but that should just keep things opened up for Dowdle on the ground, if anything. So I would keep rolling with Dowdle here, despite the love we gave to Jacoby in the matchup.
Right? Dowdle's like, would you start Dowdle or James Cook?
James Cook, 14.5 point favorite. I would roll with that.
Okay, what about Chase Brown?
Chase Brown.
Okay,
sure.
okay. So we love So we love Daddle, but so Daddle over Jacoby, like how much? A tier close?
It's close. It's for sure close. I want to say Jacoby has a higher upside too. If you need in full PPR, if you need an upside case here.
Yeah, because Daddle's not really involved in the passing game. I think he only had 1 or 2 grabs each of the last 3 games. All right, Spudsby. PPR gives us my RB1. Yeah, Jameer. Need one of Kendrick Miller, DeAndre Swift. Okay, or Tyrone Tracy. I'm starting Caleb Williams. Nice. If that changes things with Swift having 2 Bears at all. Okay, Nathan, let's stick with you because Anthony's audio is driving me crazy. So first, Kendrick Miller, DeAndre Swift. I mean, this is what Anthony's new stick, name versus game. What are we doing?
I think I like DeAndre Swift here. It is you get everyone in game here, just a high point total. If you think that there's a lot of scoring, the odds of that going to the starting running back. Forgive me, is Roshan Johnson still out or is he active?
Yeah, I think he's out, but I wouldn't not bet my life on it.
He's actually coming back this week, which is cause for concern because Johnson was taking goal line snaps away from Swift.
Okay, that's scary. Okay, what about Tyrone Tracy then? Let's move over to him. Right, we know the Falcons give up rush yards. Their defense isn't great, but they're good at keeping running backs out of the end zone. This is a tough one.
Yeah, it's real tough. Giants third lowest implied team total on the week. Saints have the lowest. I would just play DeAndre Swift in hopes that you get, better offensive production against a banged up defense here.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. But yeah, Lions rush D scary, but yeah, it's tough. Okay. He's Caleb Williams, so you like the Williams Swift, right? Especially if you get a couple check downs, especially if they're down, right? The O line's terrible, he's under pressure. Maybe they run some screens, try and free him up. But yeah, if you can get that little check down touchdown to Swift, you're gonna be cooking. So I like, so get everyone in game, get as many Bears as you can. That Lions D is breaking down. Okay, all right, Anthony, this is all you. Also need a tight end, PPR, Stranger Ertz.
I think we talked about this a bit earlier. This exact question.
Oh, right.
So I won't. I don't know if you were watching Spubsy, but we all kind of like Brenton Strange a little bit more. He's the second in command there. He's had 4 top 10 finishes in the 5 games he started this season. Ertz has been good, but Strange also has a really good matchup. So I would go Strange, especially in a full PPR.
Okay. Did you guys get off to a good start yesterday for fantasy? I did not. I'm playing a Stroud Tank Dell, and so that 30-yard touchdown was a lot of points against me. Luckily, I think a lot of people are starting Denver defense this week because somebody said on Thursday show they had 20 points 4 weeks in a row. They did not do that on the Thursday game. So Nathan, are you in a couple semifinals? At least one?
Yeah, I got a couple still live, thankfully. I had Derrick Henry go up big in a league that rewards 100-yard and 150-yard games
Nice.
with bonuses, thankfully, against Joe Mixon in that one, who had kind of a dud. So big swing for me there, thankfully.
Okay, that's good. Anthony, what about you?
So I'm in 4 semifinals out of my 10
Whoa!
leagues. Yeah, I made it to the playoffs in 5 leagues, lost 1 last week, had a bye in another league. So I've got 4 semifinals matchups going on. The one I'm most worried about now is actually projected to win by like 15 or 20. And then the guy I'm going against it's a dynasty league. He had Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, Nico Collins, and the Ravens defense yesterday. And now it is projected to be a tie. So not too great, but like I still have my whole team to play except for my kicker. So
You must have been terrified, eh? That Flowers, that bomb, and he's holding on to his foot, and he's trying to break through.
I know. But I do want to ask you guys a question about this league. Would you start Jaden Daniels or Sam Darnold? Yeah, Daniels against Philly, and then Darnold with the rain up there in Seattle.
I'd go Daniels because I got PTSD from that Thursday rain game when Larry was like, it won't be too bad, and then there was like 1 touchdown or no touchdowns, all field goals. So
yeah, I've currently got Daniels in. I'll probably leave it, but just wanted to get
scary
some friendly advice. Yeah.
At least he's at home. I like him at home. I like it's a good spot.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. All right, Nathan, this is all you. So Tony Pollard or Jalen McMillan today? We got Cade Otton out. McMillan's got 3 TDs last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we were talking about rookies come on late. McMillan's coming on late. But what are we doing?
Yeah, this is tough. If you like an upside case here, I kind of like McMillan. Just going back to Cowboys are pretty bad on the road. They just lost Trayvon Diggs for the year, their starting cornerback, on top of all the injuries they've already amassed. Buccaneers projected, I want to say, 26 team total, and McMillan is the number 2 option with no one really behind him, especially with Otton out. I think Jalen McMillan is a great. I'd put him in a wide receiver 3 with upside category. So if you want a safer floor, I'd still go with Pollard against Indy.
Okay, Anthony, would it matter PPR half standard here?
No. As much as I do like Pollard, I would actually go with, I think, Jaden McMillan here too. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got 19.9 and 16 points. That's good for the wide receiver 8 and 18 in the last 2 weeks. So Dallas is a friendly matchup. I like McMillan for the upside. I still like Pollard. I've talked about that throughout the show today, but I can't ignore the presence of Spears back, who again made some noise last week. So they might split that up a little bit more than even I'm anticipating because Pollard didn't practice all week. So, yeah, I'll take McMillan.
Yeah, it's tough, right? But yeah, trust the late rookie wide receiver breakout, right? Imagine if you just had Neighbors, McMillan, and Brian Thomas on your team. I mean,
Oh
you'd
my
be
goodness.
stacked. That means you probably got Saquon, Henry, and Lamar because you know. All right. Anyway, Stranger Njoku. Okay, can we get a? I'm gonna Anthony Google. Make sure to check Njoku's status while I ask Anthony this question. So let's assume Njoku's playing. Or what are we doing?
Were you asking? You were asking Nathan that?
Yeah. Well, you check
Okay.
Njoku.
Yeah, DTR at QB is pretty scary, but is Mac Jones that much better? You can argue yes. I would say yeah. I like the matchup for Brenton Strange. Njoku's coming off an injury, as great as he's been, with low incentive in the QB play without Jameis there, just chucking it to him. Strange is definitely the safer play. Based on his current role. Don't know the format here. Maybe if it's standard, I would go Njoku as a more likely touchdown guy in the red zone if they get there against the bad Bengals defense.
Yeah. Njoku's targets have been crazy with Judy, right? He's getting high double digits. So, All right, Anthony, do we get a confirmation?
I haven't found anything yet. I've seen he's motivated to play. It's just going to kind of depend on how he feels.
Okay. But DTR is not DTF.
I mean, we should get the report any minute now. They play at 1:00, right? And it's 11:30.
Okay.
So
And then Nathan, sticking with you, Drake London, Adam Thielen, right? So we got Michael Penix Jr. in. His passing yard number is crazy. It's implied like 227, which is like the 7th highest, considering he's never really played. But they got the weapons. Thielen's had a nice little bounce back. He only had 50 last week. What are we doing?
Yeah, I like London here still. Just take the talent here. As good as Thielen's been, I like London. I think Penix will do pretty well. It's got like, if you compare it to like how bad Kirk Cousins was at throwing the ball down the field, it's got to be the needle pointing up for London here, who is already at such a high level of play, despite not being able to find the end zone for so long.
I think London caught the only touchdown last week too. So Penix deep shot guy, London deep play, easy money. Okay, we got to wrap up here though. We gone well over an hour. Think one more for you. Okay, Nathan, stick here. Higgins or Neighbors PPR. This is nice. We got best QB in the league, worst QB in the league. Where do we?
Yeah, I like Higgins here. The upside case is there, especially if Jamar Chase ends up drawing the Denzel Ward coverage for most of this game. Higgins could be the looked to as maybe even as a first read more often than not without with Ward drawing that coverage and Neighbors. It's just hard to trust as much as you can with the QB play from Joe Burrow dishing the rock.
Right, Anthony, you agree?
Yeah, I'd go Higgins over Neighbors. Even though
even
Neighbors
in PPR.
Yeah, I think so. I didn't notice it was PPR. I think that makes it closer. But Higgins' upside, I think, is a little bit better with the better offense. But I'd lean Higgins over Neighbors, even in a PPR.
Okay, all right. This is the last question here. Then we got to wrap up. Anthony's on his death watch here. Do we think Cup will bounce back? So Nathan said yes, right? You said big yes, right? The Jets are bad versus the slot. Cup in the slot. Stafford still loves him, but I do feel like he's in a second phase of his career, right, where he's not getting deep routes. He's a little out, drag routes. So
yeah, I want to say Puka was up to something like a 40% first read share last week. So it is just the Puka show now at this point. But Cup is in a great matchup spot to be open a lot more frequently, and his tape still looks good. They're just looking to Puka a lot more.
Tape still looks good. Okay, we're gonna wrap up. So let's final and words, Anthony. Oh yeah, we didn't really get to your best bet segment, but
it's all right. I'll scroll through real quick while I start that. One of the other big name versus game players is Juwan Jennings. He's I like him as a wide receiver too this week. He's really been the best Niners wide receiver. All right, so just run through some of the bets I have. Drake London.
Quickly, Njoku is active, so.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
I'd probably still go Strange to answer that question. I like Drake London to score a touchdown at plus 115. Jared Goff under 251.5 passing yards at minus 115. Yeah, I don't love the cold in Chicago on a run-heavy team, even though Montgomery's out. I also have Matthew Stafford under 244.5 passing yards. If you were listening for the whole show, the Jets do limit passing yards at home. So I think it might be tough for Stafford to kind of hit his mark there. Devonta Smith over 52.5 receiving yards. He slumped for a bit. I think he's kind of on the upswing, especially after really having a better game than A.J. Brown did against Pittsburgh last week. I think Marvin Harrison finds the end zone at plus 130 on an anytime touchdown. And then that wraps it up.
Cool. Okay. Nathan, any last words of advice? Anything you didn't get off your chest?
Nothing I can think of. Good luck.
Okay.
Good luck is all I got.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Remember, download our app. We just released it. I don't know if it'll change the game, but it's going to be great for fantasy. Right. And then, Discord, I will jump on quickly, answer any questions we didn't get to, or just drop it on Twitter. Give us a like. We got another show next week, and we also got a Thursday show. All right. So thanks, everybody. Enjoy the semifinals.